How does mediation work in a personal injury case? Well, you were in touch with the insurance company for the person that caused the accident, the person that caused your injuries. They gave you some kind of a lowball number. You told them that doesn't work. I need to be up here. And they didn't respond. They said pound sand. They delayed, delayed, delayed. You just got nowhere. So, what do you do when you and the insurance company can't come to a resolution? The answer is oftentimes mediation. Now, mediation is not something that happens right after an accident. Usually, mediation takes place after a lawsuit's been filed and then it's been going on a while. There's some discovery that's been done, meaning your side sent questions to the other side and the other side responded. They sent you questions, you responded. You might have had your deposition taken, the other side might have had their deposition taken. And mediation is it's not a last ditch effort, but it is a strong effort to try to resolve the claim before actually going to a trial and letting a judge or a jury decide the claim for you. And the mediation is completely voluntary. What the mediator does is the mediator is oftentimes a retired judge or a lawyer or just someone who's been trained to mediate. And what they're going to do is facilitate conversation between the two sides. The mediator is not going to tell you what your case is worth. The mediator is not going to tell the insurance company how much money they have to pay. They're just somebody that helps both sides communicate and try to reach a voluntary settlement number for the case. Now, what a mediation actually looks like is fairly straightforward. There is some variation to it, but I was at mediation today. You're going to generally be in an office somewhere. You're going to have one room. There's going to be the injured person and their lawyer, and the other room is going to be the insurance adjuster and the insurance company lawyer. And literally, the mediator is going to go between the two rooms. Some mediators have everybody start together and then break off, but a lot of times they just keep everybody separate in separate rooms because sometimes people don't play well together. Other times it works out fabulous. But anyway, so what happens is first the mediator will generally go in and meet with the injured person and the injured person's lawyer and say, hey, what's going on? Let's talk about this a little bit. Now, usually the mediator is already going to have a pretty good idea what the case is about because lawyers will often prepare mediation briefs. A lot of mediators require that. And so it's basically just a document saying, hey, here's the facts of the case. Here's the medical records. Here's the medical billing. Here's photographs. Here's a police report. So the mediator is going to prepare beforehand and usually have a pretty good understanding of what's going on. This doesn't happen 100% of the time, but a lot of times it does. So the mediator will generally first go in, meet with the injured person and the injured person's lawyer, and that's for a couple of reasons. One reason is to actually meet with the injured person and find out, hey, is this a horrible mass murderer that a jury's going to hate, or is this a wonderful person a jury's going to love, or most of the time somewhere in between? Because this information is helpful for them to tell the insurance company on the other side, or hey, if this is a really likable person, we all know that juries tend to give money to people they like, and they tend to give less money to people they don't like. So that's part of the process right there. The mediator is going to learn about sort of the facts and everything important with the case, and the mediator is going to want to get a starting demand. So when the mediator is asking you for a demand at the beginning, you're going to give a demand that is significantly higher than the amount of money you actually want. Now, this sounds silly. Why would you do it? It's part of the process. Because what happens is you're going to come in with a number that's too big. The other side's going to come in with a number that's too small. And as the hours go by, the job of the mediator is to get the insurance company to come up with their numbers and to get you to come down with your numbers. So if you came out with your actual number you need to settle right away and you've got nowhere to move, well, there's no mediation. So you're going to come up with a number that is significantly more than what you want. So the mediator will get an idea of who the injured person is, get an idea of the facts of the case, and get an idea what the initial demand number is, what the number is that the plaintiff was wanting. And then the mediator is going to walk into the other room where he or she is going to meet with the defense lawyer for the insurance company and the representative from the insurance company. And the mediator is going to say, hey guys, this is what's going on. Here's the facts of the case. Here's the demand. we got to make this happen. Let's put up some money and start the negotiation process. And the insurance company is going to come in and they're going to make an offer that you're going to think is way too low. Well, are they doing that to piss you off and make you run away and call them bad names? Nah, they're doing that because it's actually part of the process. Now, I know what you're thinking. Tom, this process sucks. It's stupid. Why is it like this? It just is. So don't worry about it. Just know that's the game you're going to have to play, and that's how it works. And so when you hear from the mediator and the mediator comes back with this low number, don't get pissed off. Don't rant and rave. I mean, you can if you really want to, but don't end the mediation, because generally that number is just the starting point that's going to go up. Just like your number had to start higher than you expected, their number starts lower than they expect to pay. So mediator is going to take their number and go back into your room and say, hey, look, this is the number and here's the reasons why. And then it's your job and your lawyer's job to say, well, this number is too low and here's why. Look, here's the police report. It puts them 100% at fault. Look, here's the medical records. The medical records show that all of this treatment was needed. Here's the employment numbers. And, I missed work for this many days. And you show the mediator all the important information you have that demonstrates why your case is worth more. And so literally the mediator is shuttling between your room and the insurance company's room over the course of the mediation. And if it is a successful mediation, as many are, what's going to happen is your number is going to drift down, the number from the insurance company is going to drift up, and at some point you're going to come to a number that both sides can live with, and then you've got a settlement. And so you're going to probably do something really quick there that basically says, hey, I, the plaintiff, agree to settle this case for this amount of money, and the insurance company agrees to pay that amount of money to settle the case, and then both sides go home. The insurance company is probably going to send a formal document called a settlement agreement and release or something like that to your lawyer. You're going to sign it. In exchange for that and a dismissal of the case, you're going to get a check, or it's actually going to go to your lawyer's trust account. And then the case is over. So if you settle at mediation, there's no more discovery, there's no trial, there's nothing. You're just done. So know that mediation is not mandatory, but most cases go through it if they can't resolve informally. A very small percentage of personal injury cases actually go to trial because most of them do get settled. Again, the mediator is not going to tell you that you have to settle. And the best way to prepare for mediation is make sure you've got all the facts straight. If you've got a police report, you want to have that. You want to have all your medical records together. You want to have all your medical bills together. If you've got testimony from people, if you've got pictures of the accident, pictures of injuries, you want to have all of that information so you can present it to the mediator so the insurance company knows, hey, this is a serious case. And if we go to trial, we might end up paying a bunch of money, so why don't we mitigate our risk by settling the case right now? If you happen to be in the state of Nevada where I practice law and you've got questions about a personal injury case, book a free call with me and we'll talk about it.